Good morning. It's 6:15 and we're leaving camp. Today is about a 20-mile day to the next campsite is Moose Creek. We camped tonight at Surprise Creek. In the comments a lot of people were complaining about the tent site, which I don't really get. It was relocated a bit, but so it hasn't been like perfectly established yet. But I mean, there were great camp spots, they were leveled. There was a bear hang, tent spots were in the trees, little to no condensation. There was a river kind of nearby, so you had water access. There were a few mosquitoes, but nothing of the sort we've seen. So all in all, I think this was a really great campsite. I think people were probably complaining because it is right next to Heart Lake and there's campsites right on the lake. And that might be a bit more romantic, but you also get hundreds of thousands of mosquitoes, so I didn't really mind that much. I slept very well. Well, like I said, we started at Heart Lake today, and we are crossing the road that leads into Grant's Village. So depending on how easy it will be for us to get a hitch, we might make a stop and go in Grant's Village, just head over, get some food and then head back out to trail. So we get to our campsite at night. However, a lot of people said that it's very hard to get a hitch at that road, even though there's a lot of cars, because it's just, most of them are all tourists and they don't really know what's going on, so they don't really take hitchhikers. So we'll see. Also, according to the map, we should be seeing our first geothermal features today. There's apparently a couple of hot rivers on the trail, and I don't know what else we get to see. But the total animal count for Yellowstone so far stands at 2 deer. So that's what you see on an average Colorado morning. So Yellowstone really has to step up its game. So for a second there, I thought somebody pooped his pants and was walking right beside me. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It's actually the smell of sulfur that we start to notice. I mean, it's faint, but it's enough that you notice it all the time. So I hope it doesn't get a lot worse than this, because it's a bit disgusting. But I guess that's what you get in areas like this. Here you can see the entire Heart Lake Valley. We camped back there on the far side of the lake. Down there to the right are the thermal areas. And we walked around the lake to the left. And are now heading up. Today is the third day of the bear spray nightmare. Hands and arms and face are now pretty clean. I also went into a lake and kind of scrubbed them off real good. So I think that's settled. The only part that still remains burning and at quite a, well, with some discomfort, is kind of everything from my butt halfway up my lower back, because this is where the bear spray like fully got my backpack. I think probably the fabric of the backpack has just absorbed the bear spray pretty nicely, and it's now rubbing against my shirt and my skin, so that's like constantly burning, especially when it's warm. Well, next chance I get, I'll try to give the backpack a really good cleansing and rubbing and hope I get it out. Well, if I can't manage that, even with soap and stuff, then I guess it's time for different solutions. Wow. So I've just made it to the road that connects Grant Village in Yellowstone to Jackson, and the plan is that we're going to try to hitch into Grant's Village to just get some food, go eat grab a couple of snacks as I'm actually a bit low on food for this whole stretch, and then hitch back out and finish the rest of today to our campsite. However, we'll see how successful we are, because apparently this isn't really an easy road to hitch, but you never know. You just gotta believe that it'll work, and then it will. So we just had a quick in and out in Grand Village, hitched into town about 10-12 miles and then hitched back out. Had a double cheeseburger and got some groceries and snacks as well. It was very important, because I don't know how I exactly managed that, but I only packed about 4 days of food into a 6-day food carry to Old Faithful. So I really had to restrain myself for the last couple of days. For example, this morning I did about 12 miles on 200 calories, which isn't a lot of fun. So that little visit solved that problem. Had 2 liters of soda as well, and bought a couple of items, so that will get me to Old Faithful. It's also quite interesting, like hitching in a very touristy place like Yellowstone National Park it's a lot harder than in other areas. I'm not sure exactly why that is, because there's like a whole bunch of people on holidays and everything, but I don't know. It took us quite a while to get out of that village again. We were very quick on the way in. It was only about a minute or two. And I think this has to be the best developed trail on the entire CDT. While at the Grand Village, I also managed to speak to a park ranger, and he told us that we're going through an area of the park that has comparably less animals than the northern side of the park. So when I told him that we didn't really see much yet, with the exception of a couple of deer and like birds and stuff, he wasn't too surprised. He said there are also grizzlies down here. They are less concentrated than in the north, and he said it's also rather unlikely for us to see bison down here. Not impossible, but unlikely. And there's 2 factors to this. One side is the concentration of the animal, and the other is that like down here, this is a very forested area. So if I look left or right, I can maybe see 20-25 yards into the forest. Whereas in the north, apparently, you have open and long meadows or valleys where you sometimes can see for hundreds of yards. So it's just easier to spot them as well. Well, since the bear spray incident, I'm probably invincible to bears anyway, so I don't really mind too much. Funny side story, by the way, I'm not the only idiot in Yellowstone. The person who gave us a lift had the same thing happen to him, even worse, with the bear spray. He apparently dropped his backpack a couple of years ago, and the backpack fell like in a weird angle, and it knocked off the safety of his bear spray, and apparently it sprayed him like right in the face. So yeah, these accidents do happen. Well, sometimes you cross a river, and then sometimes you have to cross a lake. That's gonna be interesting. Well, during the crossing we noticed how pleasantly not terrible cold the water is. So we ended up going for a quick swim in Shoshone Lake. We also did figure out while talking to the ranger that that's actually legal. So it was such a pretty lake, and it was a sunny afternoon. Well, that's what you do, right? You go for a swim, which also massively helped to alleviate my burning back.